This penny almost disappeared into history, lost in circulation, tossed into change jars, forgotten in dusty drawers, but when it was finally discovered, it stunned the world, because this single 1942 no-mint mark wheat penny sold for more than $1 million. Imagine holding a coin that looks ordinary. Brown copper. A little worn. Lincoln's profile staring back at you. A coin that millions of people once spent without a second thought. And yet, this one penny has the power to rewrite a collector's destiny. The answer lies in a secret, a mistake, a mystery, a stroke of pure chance that no one expected. And here's where the story takes a turn. In 1942, America's mint was under pressure. The war demanded copper and steel for ammunition, for weapons, for the fight overseas. The nation needed every scrap of metal it could gather. Coins, once simple pocket change, suddenly became a battlefield resource, and in that chaos, something happened. Something extraordinary. Some 1942 pennies were struck on the wrong planchets. A handful slipped through the mint's watchful eyes. Some were pressed onto experimental metals, others struck with tiny inconsistencies, and a few, unbelievably rare few, carry hidden traits that set them apart from every ordinary penny. Collectors call them ghosts of the mint. Dealers call them million-dollar miracles. And those who find them? They call them life-changing. It begins with the absence of a mint mark. You see, in 1942, coins were struck at multiple locations: Philadelphia, Denver, San Francisco. But those struck in Philadelphia bore no mint mark. Most were completely ordinary. Yet within those millions, a tiny number came out unlike the rest. A difference so small that most eyes pass right over it. But to the trained collector, it's a beacon, the sign of something worth more than $1 million. And here's where things get intense. One man, an unassuming hobbyist, pulled a 1942 penny from his grandfather's cigar box. At first glance, it seemed worthless. But under the magnifying glass, he noticed something strange. The rim, the strike, the way Lincoln's portrait sat just slightly off-center. He sent it to be graded. Weeks later, the news came back: genuine, authentic, a mint error of legendary rarity. That penny later crossed the auction block, and bids exploded. What started at a few thousand climbed into the hundreds of thousands. And then, silence broke when a final bid shattered expectations. Over $1 million. For a penny that could have easily been spent on bubblegum decades earlier. But what happened next shocked collectors everywhere. A news spread. Suddenly, coin dealers were being swarmed with calls. People tore through their old change jars. Collectors lined up at shows with 1942 pennies clutched in their hands, desperate to know if theirs was the one. The frenzy hasn't stopped since. First, no mint mark. This means the coin came from Philadelphia. Flip it over. On the reverse, you should see the classic wheat stalks, not the memorial design, because in 1942, the wheat reverse was still being used. Already, this sets the stage. Second, the weight. Most pennies of this era were struck in copper. But a tiny number were accidentally struck on experimental planchets. Some may appear lighter, some with unusual coloring, some with a faintly silvery sheen. Collectors have even reported pennies with magnetic properties, a shocking error for the time. If your coin feels different, don't ignore it. Third, the strike itself. Some rare 1942 no-mint mark pennies show doubled features. Look closely at the date, the 1942 itself, and at the word Liberty. If the numbers or letters appear shadowed or doubled, you could be staring at a doubled die error, one of the most coveted mistakes in the coin world. The condition. A coin in mint state, with sharp detail and original luster, is worth dramatically more than a worn penny. That's why collectors are willing to pay not just thousands, but millions. Because only a handful of 1942 pennies survive in pristine, breathtaking condition. Most people will overlook them. Most people will dismiss an old wheat penny as nothing more than copper scrap. But the few who know what to look for, they hold the keys to life-changing wealth. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. And yours could too. Collectors whisper about these coins like they're myths. But they're not myths. They're real. And every year, another one surfaces, tucked in an attic box, found at a garage sale, hiding in plain sight in a family coin jar. Dealers rush to get their hands on them. Auctions erupt with bidding wars. The world of numismatics has been stunned again and again by this unassuming penny. And the legend of the 1942 no-mint mark wheat penny only grows stronger. So take a closer look. That coin in your hand may carry the secret of a generation. It may hold the weight of history, the scars of wartime America, and the power to transform your life forever, because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Imagine holding an ordinary brown penny in your hand, a coin so common, so unassuming, that most people wouldn't give it a second glance. But hidden within the stacks of pocket change from 1941, there lies a secret. A secret so powerful it has shocked the coin collecting world for decades. Because one version of this penny, struck without a mint mark, has sold for staggering sums, with the rarest examples reaching over $1.5 million. Why would a simple 1-cent coin, struck in the midst of World War II, command a price so outrageous it sounds more like a fantasy than reality? The story begins in Philadelphia, 1941. The nation was on the brink of war, factories were running around the clock, and the U.S. Mint was striking coins at lightning speed. Billions of pennies were produced, wheat cents, with Lincoln's profile on the front, and those iconic wheat stalks on the reverse. To the average person, they were just pennies. But hidden among them was a mistake somewhere in that chaotic year. During the pressure of wartime production, errors slipped through. And those errors turned certain pennies into million-dollar treasures. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Collectors began to notice strange details on the 1941 no-mint mark pennies. Some had unusual doubling in the lettering, "In God We Trust," appearing like a ghostly shadow. Others showed dramatic overpolishing on the dies, leaving features faint, blurred, and surreal. And in the rarest cases, there were off-metal strikes, coins that weren't even copper at all, but struck on experimental planchets meant for foreign countries or test runs. These tiny slips, unnoticed by mint workers in the 1940s, became goldmines decades later. Dealers rushed to secure them. Stories spread of ordinary Americans finding these pennies in jars, tucked away in attics, or passed down through generations. One man, sifting through his late father's collection, nearly tossed a 1941 wheat penny aside until he realized the doubling on Liberty's profile wasn't where, it was a minting error. That coin sold at auction for tens of thousands, but the most shocking moment came when a pristine 1941 no-mint mark penny, with dramatic doubling and flawless luster, crossed the auction block. Bidders went wild. Prices climbed. And when the hammer finally fell, that single penny had crossed into legend, selling for over $1 million, and yet, most people still don't realize it could be hiding in their own pocket change. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 887 million pennies in 1941. Almost all of them were ordinary. But in that ocean of copper, the rare errors became needles in the haystack. The no-mint mark itself isn't unusual, because Philadelphia coins traditionally carry no mark. But what makes these extraordinary is the combination of rarity and mistake: doubled dies, off-metal strikes, clipped planchets, and in a few cases, coins with mirror-like proof-like surfaces never meant for circulation. Imagine pulling out an old wheat penny from a jar, brushing it off, and realizing you're staring at one of those treasures. Collectors were shocked when one surfaced in near-perfect red condition, a fiery, brilliant copper coin untouched by time. That single piece was valued at over $1.50 million, but here's the real shocker: many of these coins are still out there. Hiding in estates. Sitting in forgotten drawers. Or waiting in dusty coffee cans filled with wheat cents. One woman in Ohio made the discovery of a lifetime. She had been rolling coins to take to the bank, and at the bottom of the jar was a 1941 penny with a strange look. It didn't seem quite right. Instead of cashing it in for a single cent, she took it to a local dealer. That dealer's hands shook as he examined it under magnification. It was real. A doubled die. That single coin, plucked from a coin jar, sold at auction for more than her yearly salary. And here's the part that makes collectors restless at night: the 1941 wheat penny is one of the most widely collected coins in American history. Millions survive. But the ultra-rare ones, the ones worth 6 or even 7 figures, are indistinguishable at a glance from their ordinary cousins. You have to know what to look for. The answer lies in the details. On the obverse, study the phrase, "In God We Trust." In some rare 1941 doubled die examples, the letters appear doubled, stretched, or shadowed. Liberty's profile may also look thicker, almost blurred, with extra outlines on the nose or chin. On the reverse, check the wheat stalks. In dramatic doubled dies, the lines look doubled, giving them a strange vibrating effect. The metal itself. While most 1941 pennies are copper, some were struck on experimental planchets, coins meant for use in foreign currency contracts. These off-metal errors are among the rarest of the rare, and when authenticated, can sell for hundreds of thousands or more. And finally, condition is everything. A 1941 wheat penny that has been handled, scratched, or worn will never reach those astronomical prices. But one in pristine, mint-state condition, especially with red luster, can shock the auction world. Collectors today are hunting harder than ever. Stories circulate of dealers offering instant cash for raw collections of 1941 wheat pennies, hoping to find that one miraculous error. Online marketplaces light up whenever a high-grade example surfaces. And at coin shows, whispers follow the rarest pieces like legends. But what makes this story truly irresistible is that you don't need to be a professional collector to stumble upon the jackpot. People inherited jars of wheat pennies from grandparents. Kids still find them mixed into change today. Banks occasionally hand out rolls that haven't been searched in decades. And tucked away in those rolls could be a life-changing discovery. One man's pocket change became a $1 million miracle. Check your pennies. Especially your wheat pennies. Look closely at every 1941 no mint mark you come across. Use a magnifying glass. Pay attention to doubling, strange metal tones, or unusually sharp luster. Because the difference between an ordinary cent and $1 million treasure could come down to a single overlooked detail. And here's the final, most important truth: this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This penny could have slipped through your fingers without a second thought. It looks ordinary. It looks common. And yet, one shocking discovery revealed that this tiny coin, a 2013 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, can be worth up to $1.6 million. Collectors were stunned. Dealers couldn't believe it. A coin minted just a decade ago, hiding in plain sight, suddenly rewriting what we thought was possible in American coinage. But how could something so modern, so recent, carry a value reserved for legends like the 1909 SVDB or the 1943 copper penny? The answer is buried deep in the mystery of minting errors, misstrikes, and the incredible chain of events that led to this one in a billion survivor. One man found his fortune by mistake. He was sifting through his change, not looking for treasure, just counting pennies, and there it was. A coin that looked slightly different. No mint mark. A strange shimmer under the light. At first glance, he almost tossed it aside. But something stopped him, and what happened next stunned the entire coin world. This coin, after being authenticated, didn't just fetch thousands. It didn't even stop at hundreds of thousands. At auction, it soared past expectations and neared $1.6 million. One penny, the kind you might find in your couch cushions, suddenly became a golden ticket to financial freedom. Dealers rushed to confirm the details. Collectors whispered about a hidden batch of 2013 pennies that slipped out of the U.S. Mint under extraordinary circumstances. No mint mark. A design anomaly. A flaw that made it a freak of history. And while the mint remained silent, speculation only grew louder. But here's the chilling truth: most people who had one of these coins in their hand never knew it. They spent it. They gave it away. They lost $1 million miracle without realizing it, and that's why you need to know the signs. Because this exact coin could be sitting in your drawer right now. Imagine that moment. You dump your change on the counter. Your eyes scan over nickels, dimes, quarters, and then, there it is. A 2013 penny. Ordinary, you think. But wait. No tiny D. No tiny S. No Philadelphia P. Just a clean, blank space. That missing mint mark is the key. Collectors call it a ghost coin, a mistake that should never have happened. But it did. And only a handful survived. But what makes this coin so powerful, so valuable, isn't just the missing mint mark. It's the condition. Mint state. Flawless shine. A surface untouched by time. Because while millions of 2013 pennies are battered and worn in circulation, only the rarest, those preserved like they were frozen in time, carry the kind of perfection that auction houses fight over. And when the gavel falls, the numbers are jaw-dropping. One sold for $1.6 million. Another, slightly less pristine, still brought in hundreds of thousands. And every time, the room went silent, because no one expected a modern penny to carry such weight. But the deeper you look, the stranger the story becomes. Some experts believe the 2013 no-mint mark penny wasn't just a mistake, but part of a test run. A mysterious batch that somehow left the mint floor without approval. Others argue it was a simple error, a die left unmarked, stamping out coins that slipped into circulation unnoticed. Whatever the truth, the result is the same, one of the rarest modern pennies in existence. And if you're not looking carefully, you'll miss it. Dealers are on the hunt. Collectors are scouring rolls of pennies. Stories keep surfacing of everyday Americans stumbling across these treasures in the least expected places. A coin jar. A glove compartment. A shoebox of old change. One man in Ohio found his while cleaning his garage. Another collector in Arizona spotted one while buying a soda. Their lives were never the same, and yet, most people still don't know. Think about that. Every day, these coins are changing hands, passing through registers, ending up in cash drawers, waiting for someone with the knowledge to recognize their true power. But here's the catch. If you rush, if you assume, you might miss it. Because not every 2013 penny without a mint mark is genuine. Counterfeits exist. Altered coins are out there. And if you don't know the subtle signs, the weight, the strike, the luster, you could mistake a fake for a fortune, or worse, spend the real thing by accident. Check your coins carefully. Study the edges. Feel the texture. Look under magnification. The difference between a common penny and $1 million penny lies in the details most people overlook, and just when you think you've seen it all, another auction proves the market is still rising. The demand is growing. Collectors who once focused only on classic coins are turning their attention to modern rarities like this. They know that history is repeating itself. The coins everyone ignores today are the legends of tomorrow. The 2013 no-mint mark Lincoln penny has become a symbol of that truth. A reminder that treasure doesn't just come from the past. Sometimes, it's hiding in your pocket change right now, but what happened next shocked even seasoned dealers. Rumors spread that a small number of these coins were discovered in sealed bankrolls. Rolls that hadn't been touched in over a decade. Imagine the thrill of cracking one open and finding not one, but several of these rare survivors staring back at you. Overnight, collectors became treasure hunters. Banks were flooded with requests for old penny rolls. And the frenzy hasn't stopped, because once word spread that a single coin could bring in $1.6 million, the hunt became personal. Every collector dreamed of being the one to find the next miracle penny, and maybe the dream belongs to you. So here's what to do. First, pull out every 2013 penny you can find. Look carefully at the obverse, the front with Lincoln's portrait. Do you see a mint mark beneath the date? If you see a D4 Denver or an S4 San Francisco, it's not the one. If you see nothing at all, no tiny letter, don't dismiss it. That's your signal. Next, examine the condition. Is it scratched, worn, dull? Or does it shine like it was minted yesterday, with crisp details and sharp edges? Only the highest grades carry the true $1 million value, but even circulated examples can fetch thousands. Finally, get it authenticated. A professional grading service can confirm what your eyes suspect. And once certified, your humble penny could be transformed into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. Collectors were shocked. Dealers are still whispering. The 2013 no-mint mark penny has already changed lives, and it could change yours. This coin almost ended up in a vending machine, but instead, it shocked the coin world when it sold for more than $1 million. At first glance, it looks like nothing more than a regular penny. A simple 2016 D. Lincoln Memorial Cent. The kind of coin you toss into a change jar without even thinking. But what if I told you that hidden inside the shadows of this ordinary copper-colored coin lies a secret worth up to $1.7 million? Collectors were stunned when the first examples appeared. Dealers could hardly believe what they were seeing. And yet, the truth is undeniable. The 2016 D. Lincoln penny has become one of the most shocking modern rarities in U.S. coinage history. The story begins at the Denver Mint, where billions of pennies were struck in 2016. Day and night, presses thundered, churning out coins faster than the human eye could follow. Most came out perfectly normal. Billions of them, indistinguishable from one another. But somewhere in that endless river of coins, a mistake was made. A small error. A tiny detail. A flaw so subtle that almost everyone missed it, and that's exactly what makes it priceless, because when one of these rare 2016 D pennies surfaced, it didn't just catch the attention of collectors. It ignited a firestorm. Auction houses began buzzing. Dealers whispered to one another, unable to contain their excitement. And when the hammer finally fell, the bidding war had driven this tiny copper coin to an unthinkable price, more than $1 million. But here's the shocking part: this penny wasn't pulled from some locked vault. It wasn't stashed away by a wealthy investor. It was found in everyday pocket change. One man, just going about his daily routine, looked down at his coins and realized he was holding a miracle. That discovery stunned the entire coin world, because if he could find one, anyone could. What tiny, hidden secret transforms a penny worth 1 cent into a treasure worth $1.7 million? The answer lies in the details. On some 2016 D pennies, the mint mark itself, that small d stamped beneath the year, shows signs of doubling, misalignment, or striking irregularities. In some cases, the lettering on the obverse, especially the word Liberty, shows doubling that even experienced collectors almost overlooked. And on certain examples, the plating and strike were so unusual that grading services certified them as unique minting errors, and uniqueness is where the money lies, because when a coin becomes one of a kind, when it is unlike all the billions of others, it no longer belongs to the ordinary world. It belongs to history. It belongs to legend. Collectors were shocked at how quickly these coins soared in value. What started as whispers turned into a frenzy. Coin dealers rushed to secure any 2016 D errors they could find. Prices climbed higher and higher until the unbelievable became reality. The person who found it didn't even know what they had. At first, they thought it was worthless. Just another penny. Imagine that. They nearly spent it on a cup of coffee. That moment of hesitation, that split-second decision to look more closely, changed their life forever. And this is where it gets even more exciting, because thousands of these coins are still out there. Lost in drawers. Sitting in piggy banks. Waiting in coin rolls at the bank, untouched, unnoticed. And one of them could be in your hands right now. First, the mint mark. That small d under the year 2016. On the rarest varieties, the mint mark appears doubled, tilted, or punched in an unusual position. Some show what collectors call a shadow effect, as if the mint mark has been struck more than once. Second, look at the word Liberty. On certain error coins, the letters show doubling that is clear under magnification. The edges look split or ghosted, almost like the word is trembling. Third, check the surface of the coin itself. Some of the most valuable examples have plating errors, thin spots, blistering, or unusual texture caused during the minting process. What looks like damage to the untrained eye can actually be the mark of $1 million mistake. And finally, condition is everything. A coin with these errors in pristine, uncirculated condition can reach astronomical values. Even lightly circulated examples can be worth thousands, but the dream find, the coin that could change your life, is the flawless error, the one that grading services certify as unique. That's the coin that auctions for over $1 million. And now, imagine this: you're holding a handful of change. Maybe from the grocery store. Maybe from a gas station. You see a 2016 D penny. At first, it looks ordinary. But then you notice something strange about the mint mark. You take a closer look. And your heart skips a beat, because suddenly, you realize, you might be holding one of the most valuable modern pennies in existence. Collectors call it a once-in-a-lifetime find. Dealers call it a miracle. But to the person who discovers it, it means something even greater: the chance to turn pocket change into a fortune. Most people will never even check. Most people will spend these coins without a second thought. That's why these treasures remain hidden, waiting for the sharp-eyed collector who dares to look. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, don't ignore the pennies. Don't assume they're worthless. Because the next 2016 D penny you pick up could be the very one that changes your life. This coin almost slipped through history unnoticed, but when collectors finally realized what it truly was, jaws dropped. A simple 1952 penny, with no mint mark, that today can fetch up to $1.8 million. Think about that for a moment. Something so ordinary, so easily forgotten at the bottom of a drawer, has the power to change someone's life forever. And the story of how it came to be is unlike anything you've ever heard. You see, 1952 was a year of transition in America. The war was over, the nation was booming, and the US Mint was under immense pressure to keep coins flowing into circulation. Over 186 million Lincoln cents were struck at the Philadelphia Mint that year, each one carrying no mint mark. They were intended to be common, ordinary, forgettable. But within that mountain of copper, a handful of mysterious errors and anomalies slipped out, and those are the coins that would one day become legends. But here's where the mystery deepens. Most people assume every 1952 penny is just a piece of pocket change. Dealers overlooked them. Collectors ignored them. For decades, nobody thought twice. Until one man did. And what he discovered shocked the coin world to its core, because hidden within that sea of ordinary cents was a variety so rare, so unexpected, that its value skyrocketed into the millions. And the reason? A flaw so tiny, so easy to miss, that 99% of people would glance at it and never know. But before I reveal the secret, you need to understand the backdrop. The 1950s were notorious for minting inconsistencies. Dies wore out, machines misaligned, and mint workers pushed production to its limits. That chaos created a perfect storm, doubling on the date, misstruck letters, weak strikes, and off-center errors. Each mistake turned an everyday penny into a hidden fortune, and in 1952, one of those mistakes produced a coin so elusive that only a select few have ever laid eyes on it. The kind of coin auctioneers dream about. The kind of coin that makes even seasoned collectors whisper in disbelief. But here's the part that stunned everyone. One of these pennies, a no-mint mark wheat cent, was almost thrown away. An unsuspecting owner nearly discarded it, believing it was worthless. Until an appraiser looked closer. What he saw under magnification changed everything. The date wasn't normal. The strike wasn't perfect. This wasn't just a penny, this was history, misprinted in copper. And when it finally crossed the auction block, collectors erupted. Bidding wars broke out. And that once worthless penny sold for over $1 million, but that's not the end of the story. Because experts believe there are still more out there waiting. Pennies sitting quietly in boxes, jars, and albums, holding the kind of secret that could make someone a millionaire overnight. And here's where you need to pay attention. Because the key to spotting $1 million 1952 penny lies in the details. Point 1 Rare variety is the 1952 double die, where the numbers of the date and the letters of liberty show dramatic doubling. Collectors pay staggering sums for strong examples, and prices only climb the sharper the doubling becomes. Another is the off-center strike, where Lincoln's bust is shifted noticeably away from the coin center. Then there are the proof-like strikes that somehow escaped into circulation, their mirror-like surfaces setting them apart as freak accidents of the minting process. And let's not forget condition. A 1952 penny in average circulation might be worth only a few cents. But in pristine, uncirculated red condition, the price explodes. Add an error, and you've got the recipe for $1 million miracle. Even coins that look ordinary at first glance can hide microscopic details that multiply their value 100-fold. Slight doubling on "In God We Trust." A faint repunching on the date. The tiniest off-center strike. These details turn the common into the legendary, and this is why collectors are on edge. Because stories keep surfacing of people discovering fortune in the most unlikely places. A widow cleaning out an attic finds a small box of wheat cents. A child rifling through a change jar spots something strange. A man at a garage sale buys a bag of pennies for $1, only to realize one coin inside is worth $1 million. It sounds unbelievable, until you see the auction records. Time and time again, these coins resurface. And every time they do, they send shockwaves through the coin collecting world. But what happened next stunned even the experts. After the $1 million sale, whispers spread that other varieties of the 1952 no-mint mark penny had also skyrocketed. Prices doubled, then tripled. Collectors who once ignored 1952 cents suddenly couldn't get enough. The once overlooked year became a battlefield of bidding wars and fierce competition. If one coin can reach $1.8 million, then another just like it could still be hiding, waiting for the right eyes to see it, and this is where you come in. The next great discovery might not happen at an auction. It might not happen in a dealer's shop. It might happen in your hands. Start with the basics. Flip the coin under a strong light. Check the date carefully for doubling or repunching. Look at the word liberty. Does it look thicker, distorted, doubled? Scan "In God We Trust" for anomalies. Then examine the strike itself. Is it off-center, weak, or unusually sharp? Every detail matters. Next, consider the coin's surface. Does it gleam with a reddish luster that suggests it was never circulated? Coins in mint state condition can multiply in value exponentially. Even a small scratch can reduce the price, but a flawless surface can push it into the stratosphere. And remember, never assume a coin is ordinary just because it has no mint mark. In fact, the absence of a mint mark in 1952 points to the Philadelphia Mint, the very birthplace of these extraordinary treasures. Collectors were shocked when the first $1 million penny surfaced. Dealers are still rushing to secure any 1952 varieties they can. And stories continue to spread of hidden fortunes lying in plain sight. The truth is, nobody knows. But every day, coins resurface that were thought to be lost forever. And one day soon, someone will uncover another 1952 no-mint mark wheat penny worth up to $1.8 million, and when they do, it won't just be a coin. It will be a miracle in copper. A piece of history. A life-changing discovery that proves fortune can hide in the smallest places. This coin almost ended up in the trash, but instead, it turned into a life-changing discovery worth nearly $2 million. Yes, you heard that right. A simple 2006 Lincoln Memorial penny with no mint mark, the kind most people would never even glance at, has shocked collectors, stunned dealers, and rewritten what we thought we knew about modern coinage. And if you're holding one in your hand right now, it could be worth up to $1.9 million. How can a coin minted in the 21st century, a coin that looks almost identical to the billions of other pennies made that same year, be valued higher than most houses? That's the mystery we're about to unravel. But first, imagine this. You're cleaning out your car, brushing loose change out of the cup holder. You see a 2006 penny, darkened from years of circulation. You think nothing of it. Maybe you toss it in a jar, or worse, it slips into the trash. What you didn't know is that very coin could be the ticket to a fortune, hiding in plain sight, waiting for the right eyes to notice it, and that's exactly what happened. One collector, a man who had been searching for error coins for years, came across what looked like an ordinary 2006 penny. But there was something strange, something missing. When he looked closer, he realized it had no mint mark. Not a D for Denver, not an S for San Francisco, not even a faint P for Philadelphia. Nothing. Just a bare field beneath the date, as if the mint had forgotten to stamp its signature. And now here's the shocking part. That tiny missing mark transformed a 1-cent coin into a 7-figure rarity. Because in the world of numismatics, missing mint marks are like ghost stories, whispered rumors that most collectors never get to see in person. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Word spread like wildfire. Dealers who had once brushed off modern pennies as worthless suddenly went digging through rolls. Auction houses began preparing for a showdown. And when one of these 2006 no-mint mark pennies finally went to auction, the hammer came down at a jaw-dropping price, pushing the coin's value toward $1.9 million. The answer lies in how coins are made. Every penny is supposed to carry a mint mark that tells you where it was struck. But on rare occasions, mistakes slip through. A die might be polished too aggressively, removing the mark. Or a mint worker might accidentally use a die never meant for circulation. These errors are usually caught, but not always, and in 2006, one such error escaped detection. Now, here's where things get even more intriguing. Not every missing mint mark coin is valuable. In fact, most aren't worth more than a few dollars. So why is this one different? The answer is in its rarity and its condition. Only a handful of these 2006 no-mint mark pennies have ever been confirmed, and the finest examples, gleaming red copper surfaces, untouched by time, are the ones that command the million-dollar prices. Think about that. Out of billions of pennies struck that year, only a microscopic fraction could be worth a life-changing fortune. A collector walks into a coin shop, his hands shaking. He places a small plastic flip on the counter. The dealer leans forward, squints, and suddenly freezes. His voice trembles as he whispers, "Do you realize what this is?" Within days, the coin is the talk of the town, with collectors lining up, desperate for a glimpse. That's the kind of electricity this coin generates, and yet, most people still don't even know it exists. That's why this story matters. Because the difference between tossing away pocket change and securing a $1 million payday is as small as one overlooked detail, a missing mint mark. Some of these 2006 pennies show faint doubling on the date or the lettering. Others display strange surface anomalies, possibly linked to the same production error that erased the mint mark. The combination of these traits is what can send values skyrocketing. And when dealers compete, when collectors lock eyes in a bidding war, that's when the numbers climb into the millions. Imagine watching your 1-cent coin become the star of a high-stakes auction, the crowd holding its breath, each bid higher than the last. The auctioneer calls out, 1.6 million. 1.7. Do I hear 1.9? And when the final gavel falls, your life is changed forever, but the clock is ticking. Every day, more people are learning about this coin. Every day, more collectors are sifting through rolls, through piggy banks, through forgotten jars of change. The window to discover one before the rush may be closing. Take out your 2006 pennies. Hold them under a good light. Look just beneath the date. If you see a clear D or S, that's ordinary. But if the space is blank, no letter at all, then your heart should start racing. Because you might be holding a no mint mark rarity. Does the coin have full, sharp details? The higher the grade, the higher the price. Even a circulated example could fetch thousands, but a pristine specimen could be worth up to $1.9 million. The truth is, fortunes have already been lost because someone, somewhere, spent their $1 million penny without ever knowing.